Hi everyone, welcome to Sociology 383. I made this screencast to introduce myself and let you know a little bit more about me. My name is Elizabeth Larson. I live in Pleasant Grove, Utah with my husband Garrett. He is a mechanical engineer. He works for a drone company also here in Pleasant Grove. We have 3 children. My oldest, Miles, is 10 years old and in the 5th grade. He loves reading, he loves computers, he loves sort of inventing his own games and ideas and buildings. He's a really creative kid. My daughter Molly is 7. She's in the 2nd grade. Loves art. She loves to be with her friends. Is a very sweet and friendly little girl. And my youngest, Elliot, is 4. He just started preschool a few weeks ago. He is both the most loving child and also the most destructive child you could imagine. But he's a blast. He's really fun. Taking care of them is my full-time job, and then I teach for BYU Idaho part-time, and I have been doing that for almost 8 years now, and I love it. I have other interests and hobbies that I like to do when I am not teaching. I do the New York Times crossword puzzle every day, and I have been doing it, oh gosh, for probably about 15 years now. I love to cook, I love to bake, I love to invent my own recipes. That on the bottom is a picture of a recipe that I had recently submitted and was published to a cooking magazine. It's called Bacon Cheeseburgers with Fry Sauce. If you're not familiar with fry sauce, it's very common in Utah and Idaho. It's a mixture of ketchup and mayonnaise and a few other ingredients, and I'm sure it sounds weird, but if you've had it, I promise it's delicious. I love to sew. I make a lot of clothing for my children and for myself. The picture in the middle is my daughter in a dress I made her fairly recently. One of the things I've loved about sewing is just that it's been something I've been able to learn and to improve, that I was not good at all when I started sewing about 8 years ago. Well, in fairness, my mom tried to teach me to sew as a teenager. I was a terrible student, but I picked it up again as an adult, and it's been great to see how much I can improve when I work hard on it. I love to read anything and everything, all kinds of books. 2 books I've loved recently. One on the nonfiction side is called Evicted. It goes really deeply into a lot of issues related to poverty, what happens when you get evicted, what happens when you're already living in housing kind of on the borderline, what are your neighborhoods like? It goes a lot into stuff that we'll talk about this semester, and I'll reference it again. A fiction book that I read recently and loved is called The Map of Salt and Stars. It follows 2 plot lines. One is sort of medieval era of a young woman who is an explorer helping an astronomer who's trying to map the area for some Romans, and the other, not Romans, Italians, and the other is a modern day storyline about a young girl who's a Syrian refugee, and their journeys mirror each other. It's a beautifully written book. And lastly, in theory, I love to travel. As you saw on the last slide, I have 3 young kids, so we don't travel as much, but I did get to go on study abroad to London when I was in college. I'm in the bottom row on the left in that picture, and I went to London, and then we were able to go a lot of places around it. That is a place called Mont Saint-Michel in northern France. I love travel. You get the experience to see a lot of different cultures if you get the chance to even just go, a few hours away from your house and see something different. I think it's always a really valuable experience. I want to talk a little about how I got involved in sociology. I went to BYU in Provo for my undergraduate degree. I was a social studies teaching major. I had had a high school history teacher that I loved, and I decided to study that. I took Sociology 111 my sophomore year. I enjoyed the class, but I thought that would be all the sociology really I'd ever be involved in. Well, fast forward 1.5 more years to my junior year, I took the Teaching Diverse Students from a professor who was also a sociology professor, and she mentioned that she needed research assistants. And a good friend of mine and I decided to apply for the job, and we got hired, and we loved the position so much. She took her work into working with diverse students and then working in charter school research. And I took that into doing more school research in graduate school and then into a greater love for sociology. This is the research project we worked on. Our project was on school choice in Salt Lake City, and I had kind of been wondering and praying about what to do after graduation, and my answer had been to get a master's degree. So I got a master's degree in sociology. I turned this project into my thesis, and I love it. I love learning more about our society and how different parts fit in and how they influence us. That is why I love teaching this class. I think, as much as you might think, oh, crime and delinquency, maybe that's not something I'm really going to have a part of. What I love about this class is that we will all at some point in our life, whether it's through our own families or through church or through our professions, we'll all work with children and we'll all work with teenagers. And the things that we learn in this class really help us to support them and love them and help them reach the potential that Heavenly Father sees for them. I'm so excited for all of you to be able to learn more about these topics, to see what you can take away to serve you and to serve the people around you. And I'm excited to get to know more about you too. I'm looking forward to this semester. Thanks.